On February 22, 2023, the Iowa Senate passed Senate File 228, which covers tort liability and damages in civil actions involving commercial motor vehicles. It has now moved over to the House as House File 201. As a survivor of a truck crash, this bill was alarming, and it is dangerous for Iowans on the roads, including the commercial truck drivers themselves. I ask that you please join me in condemning this harmful and reckless bill. There are two aspects to this bill. One is limiting the amount of non-economic damages that can be recovered from a lawsuit, and the second is limiting the liability of the employer. It would set a cap on damages to $2 million. Currently, a jury of Iowa citizens have the right to examine the evidence and set an appropriate amount for non-economic damages, just as they would in any other lawsuit involving any other industry, with exception of the recently passed medical malpractice bill. That means pain and suffering, loss of quality of life, anticipated ongoing medical expenses and mobility needs, and also includes the loss of life, including the lives of children. These sorts of things would be capped at $2 million per accident, regardless of the number of people involved. While $2 million may seem like a lot, when you break it down, it can be incredibly insufficient. First off, this is not per person. This is per accident. So if a truck hits a school bus with 30 people in it, the cap is still $2 million for all 30 people combined. That breaks down to about $66,000 per person. Then a third of that is going to go to legal fees, reducing the amount to around $43,000. That doesn't even cover the cost of a wheelchair-accessible van. Also, consider the fact that it will likely take years for the matter to be settled, and many injuries from truck crashes require multiple surgeries and a lifetime of physical therapy and specialty care. Bills just will keep coming in. That is, if the person survives. There are many ways to show how a $2 million cap on these damages for all plaintiffs combined is insulting and inadequate. Unfortunately, the Senate voted down an amendment to change this cap to per person. But even more troubling than the cap, to me, is the second part of the bill. This states that an employer will not be held liable for an employee involved in an accident. It exempts the employer from direct negligence in hiring, training, supervising, or trusting the employee. This is absurd and unheard of. What other industry has allowed this kind of protection from being reckless? Airlines aren't exempt from negligence in hiring, training, supervising, or trusting their employees. This effectively shifts the blame directly onto the truck drivers and letting the employer off the hook for writing an insurance check of no more than $2 million an accident. It would allow employers to put more pressure and demand on their drivers. Even if they say they won't, it still provides the opportunity for abuse and nothing about accountability. Drivers are already dealing with a tough, demanding job. We need bills to advocate for better and safer working conditions, not irresponsible bills like this. I attended the original reading of the bill virtually, and the concern the industry had is predictability of costs and worrying about the so-called nuclear verdicts. First off, nuclear verdicts are rare and have not been a problem in Iowa, which is where this bill is being considered. Secondly, insurance rates in Iowa are already comparatively low compared to the rest of the nation. Predictability was a word used by multiple lobbyists. Predictability just means they're planning into their budgets to keep letting accidents happen. Fatal truck crashes have increased by 48% since 2014. They want to limit their liability for the lost lives of Iowans on our roads. While they may point to some safety measures that they've taken, it's far from adequate. Until every CMV on the road is equipped with basic safety measures and devices, it is not enough. Until the focus is on preventing crashes and their severity, it is not enough. There's nothing in the bill requiring or advocating for safety measures. Until we hold the lives of Iowans as more important than the predictability in a corporate budget, it is not enough. So I ask you again, please join me in stopping this awful bill. I would encourage you to contact your state elected representatives and ask them to vote no on this bill.